We are going to go quick tonight. We have Natalie Gold. Natalie is an attorney, is the founder and CEO of Gold Legal Group, striving to help people empower themselves around money and legacy planning. She graduated from St. John's School of Law at the age of 23, completely debt-free, and started her own law firm at age 24. Holy moly. Building tremendous success on both coasts. As an award-winning attorney, rising star super attorney, two-time best-selling author, and a nationwide speaker about women and money, Natalie prides herself on being a fearless cheerleader for her clients' success. Please help me welcome Natalie.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. What a great intro. I'm like, that sounds pretty cool.
We only do that for ones that are really super cool. I got to tell you, I've listened to a number of your podcasts and read a number of articles, and I just really want to thank you for taking the time to be a part of what really is a tremendous movement in what we're doing in the summit. So why don't we talk a little bit about kind of your journey? I know you graduated high school in a very short period of time. So talk about this relative to, your journey, your drive, where you see yourself as a woman.
Amazing. So I like to start with a nursery rhyme that everyone knows. And maybe that's because I have two children under the age of 2. You probably see some markers on my hands now. And it's very simple. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. And I want to ask our viewers tonight, are we living our dream or are we living a nightmare? Because either way, we get to choose. And let me tell you about what could have been the biggest nightmare of my life, but really catapulted me to live the life that I live today. At 15 years old, I was a young high schooler who, was working a part-time job. I went to an amazing high school, and it was the summer break between 9th and 10th grade. And one day I just gotten paid, $120 in cash or whatever. I was making, I think, $6 an hour at the time in New York. And I started walking home. And I walked home, but I didn't make it because 2 blocks before I got home, 2 guys had decided to race their cars from light to light. And one hit me as a pedestrian going 60 miles an hour. And the doctors were like, we can't believe you survived that, but you're going to have to sit 10th grade out. Meanwhile, the entire left side of my body was broken. I mean, imagine 60 miles an hour getting hit as a pedestrian. And the entire left side of my body, multiple pieces of metal to this day. And I woke up from that induced coma that I was in because the pain, I honestly don't remember the experience except for waking up with my mom crying, and I'm begging her, please don't cry, what's going on? And seeing my dad also crying in the background, which really broke me. And promising myself that moment I was going to bring such beauty into this world because I survived. And I had an opportunity to live again, really again, with new rose-colored glasses of how precious life is and how we better do our best every moment to take a full advantage of it. So at 15 years old, I had the soul, a 1,000-year-old person, and I felt like I had the wisdom of years and years of the collective wisdom put into me of how precious this life is and about how much the law, if you don't understand it, cannot help. So then and there, I became a lawyer. It took me 8 more years to actually manifest that, right? I went through high school finished, college in 2 years, law school in 2.5, completely debt-free on a full scholarship. And I'm happy to educate anyone who wants, who has kids in this level, who are thinking of going to school, how to do that. And I said, you know what? I am going to bring justice to humanity as a whole. So I said, how do I do that as a young lawyer? Although I love the stage and I love, a jury trial, I realized the litigation was mostly about paper filing and motions and a lot of crap. So I said, I'm not going to do that. And I became an estate attorney. Now, most people think estate attorneys, like, all you talk about all day is death and dying. How exciting could that be? And I tell them au contraire, because what I do every day is protect the most important thing we have, which is our life and our legacy. Because always, Walter, we're on the circle of life and we're just climbing, trying to get to the next thing, making this money to pay that bill. And do we ever take a break and say, what the hell am I doing this for? What is my purpose? And how can I make it so that it's in the world and big and great? Now, for a lot of the women here today, we've so been conditioned to be less, not be so loud, not be too much. Because who can love a woman who's too much? And I will tell you that even my own mom, who I love dearly, would say to me, Natalie, don't tell them everything that you want to be. Don't tell them everything you've done. Tell them after you've gotten married. Just marry them. And I said, no, because the man who's right for me is going to be the man who loves everything about me, which is made up mostly of my passion and zest for life and want to make a tremendous change on this planet. So when I met my husband, he was actually the one who said to me, why would anyone want to hold you down? You're a shooting star. And that's the man I married. And I want to give this note to all the women watching today that we don't have to pretend to be less than we are so that someone will love us. Because the truth is, when we love ourselves, that is such a white light that the right people will be attracted in and the wrong will be attracted out. And you want that. There's not like a maybe is kind of the worst thing you can be. It's either a hell yes or a no in everything in life. If you have to think about it, it's probably a no. And how much time would we save ourselves by doing it? Now, Walter, yes, you did say that I started my firm at 24 years old, which I did in New York. Started stomping up and down, Midtown Manhattan and meeting every person because I didn't come from a wealthy family. And I was determined to make it and built an amazing firm there and wrote my first book. And yes, I did courageously get on the plane to speak at a Santa Monica conference on the drop of a dime, where I happened to thereafter meet my husband. And yes, I did pick up and go where I needed to go. And here's the thing. Birds, there's often the saying, like, these beautiful birds, they're free to go anywhere with their wings. Why do they stay here? Aren't we like those very birds? In the pre-COVID world, we could get on a plane and change our lives at the drop of a dime. Why are we not? And I would say that we're not because we are so scared of leaving this jail cell that we know sucks. We know is not sustainable. We know is zapping us of our energy because it's the comfort of what we know as opposed to what we do not. And I will tell you that when you hear the whispers from the universe about what's your next step, you just have to take it. And for those of us who are mothers who might watch Frozen with our kids, which I'm guilty of, when you don't know the full future, you just have to take the next right step. It's just about that next right step. And I want to say something to our viewers. When you're thinking about the plane, and this I will acknowledge to one of my dear friends, Chris King, who told me this, and I love it. The way a plane gets up, and it's huge, right? Tons and tons and tons of weight. How does it get up into the air? The equation is very simple. It is lift plus thrust has to be greater than weight plus drag. So our weight is the things we have to take with us, right? It's the mortgage payments if we want to keep that place. The things that make up the plane. The drag is everything else. So if you want to lift, you have to get rid of the shit. You have to get rid of the drag, drop it like it's a toxic cancer, which it is, eating up your lives, okay? Now, everyone gets excited when we speak, and I, obviously cannot see the viewers right now, but when I'm on stage and I see, and everyone's like, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to change my life, from high school students to middle school to executives. But the thing is, it's really seminar breath. You hear it, you get excited for a minute, but tomorrow you wake up and real life takes over. And here's what I would encourage everyone to do. In your real life, take stock of where you are and where you want to be. And as is often said, excellence is not an act, but a habit. It has to be a daily goal. If you want to start your own company, it has to be a daily goal. It has to be a daily thing you do. If you want to lose weight, it has to be a daily thing you do. If you want to get healthy, if you want to find a new person to live a life with, it is something you have to put effort into every day. Here is the deal. We talk about empowerment a lot. And for the most part, I think most people are full of it. Because if you want to talk about women's empowerment, but we are still not teaching women about money, about protection of yourself, about wealth preservation, and they're only starting to figure it out upon a divorce or, heaven forbid, a death, then we haven't fully empowered women. So we're going to stop this BS and we're going to call it like it is. Step one to empowering yourself: protect your financial future. Okay? As women, as mothers, as nurturers, we need to know that we are protected, not just for ourselves, for our children, their children, etc. So how do we do that? Get a basic plan in place. Even if it's the utmost basic, you'll be better off than the majority of Americans. 64% of Americans die without a will. 64%. 9 out of 10 women, 90%, are more likely to survive their spouse. So when we talk about surviving spouse, that's most likely going to be a woman, 9 times out of 10. Is that the time that you want to start figuring out the money and finding where it was and understanding which bank to go to, and all in 9 months, so that you can get the portability election on your tax return for the estate tax? This is not the time to figure it out. The time is now. They say that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So it's okay. There's no judgment about not having done it. I know it's scary. I know it's hard. Those are all the concepts it's not. It's very simple. It's very basic. Will, power of attorney, healthcare proxy, living trust. Basics. You have a lot of money. You need a lot more. That's okay. It's a good problem to have. Here's what I want to leave our viewers with. Oprah, who is a major inspiration of mine, has said about Maya Angelou that she called Maya up when she built this girls' school and said, Maya, this will be my greatest legacy. And Maya turned to her and said, how do you know? You have no idea what your greatest legacy will be, because your legacy is every life you've touched. And as they say, if you change one life, you change the world. So who are we touching? Who are we making better? Are we starting with ourselves, loving ourselves enough to grant permission to spread our wings and fly, protecting ourselves, protecting our children, and making sure that, forget the estate plan, death, gloomy, dark, yuck. What is my life and legacy plan? What things am I doing for my life to make my life better and the life of my kids better? So when they look back, the legacy is bright, shining, and they'll always remember the shooting star that mom or dad was, to make sure that kids were protected. If you're not living the life of your dreams, it's just a matter of choosing a different path. We have the choice. We have the right to live the life of our dreams. And I'm going to ask you one question as I end. What's your legacy? Thank you so much.
Natalie, it's incredible. You touched on a number of things that really resonated with me. In doing the women's event, I know that many women are subject to these messages around a man's world, and the man is the provider, and these various stereotypes. But you talked about, you can't love a woman that's too much and too big. Love that. Being fearless. You said something I'd really like for you to just elaborate quickly, but you said I pick up and I went where I needed to go. You have this energy and this fearless direction about you of just going where your heart says. Address both sides of that equation for a second. We all have that intuition. We all have that nudge at times. I think very few of us speak to that and take advantage of that rather than I can't or I won't or what if I fail. Kind of give us what it is in you that you've discovered that allows you to take action in that particular environment.
Look, I think it's a why not question, right? So yeah, it's not necessarily fearlessness. Everyone feels the fear, but it's about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. So I think it's courage. And I think that if something is not working, if something is missing in your life, it's probably you. You're missing. So if the current environment, whether it be your family, your friends, whatever, is toxic, and you don't need to go to anybody to figure that out. Listen to yourself. You know the answer. And when the opportunity comes up, it's very simple. Just say yes. It's not a life sentence. No one is putting you and sticking you there and taking away the key. If you don't like it, okay, you tried. What's the worst that could happen? But what's the best that could happen? And this is where it comes down to. Most people are living an okay life. You ask them how they're doing. I'm fine. I'm fine sucks. Like, I'm fine is the epitome of everything that is bad in this world. Because if we start saying, I'm fabulous, I'm living the most amazing life, you can't even imagine how blessed I am. Wow, what a different energy. I'm fine. Life is effing awesome. They live in different worlds. So if it's just that I'm fine, fine is not good enough. This is your one and only life. And believe you me, I've been at many a hospital bed with a patient who's waiting to die to do their will. And no one is saying to them, you know, that risk you took when you moved across country, real bad one. No one is saying that. Who are you living your life for? Is it for you? Or is it for your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, your uncles, your aunts? And guess what? Everyone gets over it. No one cares. You care, though. And you need to care about you.
I love that. I love that. I love that if something is missing, it's you, that personal responsibility and personal accountability. Natalie, I really want to thank you for being on the summit. It's been a pleasure hearing your journey, your story, your tenacity, and your insight as a young woman with a family and a business, and really look forward to watching you, your shooting star. So thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Have a good one. Be well.